¿Qué pasó, way? It's your homeboy Quetzalcoatl hitting your bitch ass up with another video. Welcome back to the Fuck Your Life Boxing Show. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the Orlando Salido versus Mikey Garcia Postfight. Fight took place last night. Great fucking fight. Great undercard that we had as well. On the undercard, the first fight was Rocky Martinez versus Juan Carlos Burgos, which in my opinion was a bullshit decision. There was no way that this fight was a draw. One of the judges had Rocky Martinez winning by 4 points, and if you saw that fight, there is no way that Rocky Martinez won 4 points, so that this fight was a draw. Juan Carlos Burgos was robbed of a championship, and I feel like the judges should be fired. And I wouldn't trust these motherfuckers to judge a backyard boxing fight. And again, it puts another black eye in boxing that right now is hurting because of decisions like that. Second fight that we had on the undercard was Triple G, Gennady Golovkin versus Gabriel Rosado. Very impressive win by Gennady Golovkin. Gabriel Rosado gets a lot of respect from me. I give him a lot of props for fighting with a whole gang of heart. His eye was busted up, nose was bleeding. He was a bloody mess, and he kept on fighting. His corner ended up stopping the fight, rightfully so. I didn't see him really being able to come back from that, and he still has a lot of fights ahead of him. So it would be better for them to have stopped the fight than him to have gotten some type of permanent damage. As far as Gennady Golovkin goes, this was an impressive victory, and I would like to see him fight elite competition. There were a couple things that Gabriel Rosado had did that probably would let you know that an elite boxer, such as Sergio Martinez, would be able to exploit from him. It seemed that he had some trouble with Gabriel Rosado's boxing ability, but we'll see, because Gennady Golovkin also has a whole lot of power in those hands. You saw the way he left Gabriel Rosado. Main event was Orlando Salido versus Mikey Garcia. Great fight. Somewhat of a disappointing ending. Right off the bat, you saw how Mikey Garcia power played a factor in this fight. He knocked down Orlando Salido twice in the first round, knocked him down again in the third, and then once again in the fourth. Had great timing with his punches, a lot of power. First two knockdowns, I believe, were with left hooks. The knockdown in the third round was with an uppercut. And the fourth knockdown was somewhat questionable. I think it was a mixture of Orlando Salido slipping and not having his balance well, and Mikey Garcia landing a nice jab, semi-hook on him. But Orlando Salido just didn't look like what he's looked like in his past three fights. In his last two fights versus Juan Manuel Lopez, which were epic battles, both were candidates for fight of the year. Both fights were fights that'll go down in Puerto Rican and Mexican boxing history. The rivalry that those two countries have with each other. Orlando Salido had put great performances in those fights, and in this performance it was very lackluster. Could it be that at 32, fighting since he was 15, could it be that those battles caught up with him physically? Sometimes fights like that take a lot of a fighter. Perhaps that's what we were saying. Maybe he was hungover. I don't know. Estaba crudo el cabrón. Maybe he was drinking with Pancho Hernandez, knocking back an 18-pack. And if you've seen my last video, which was the HBO Legendary parody, you know what I'm talking about. But Orlando Salido just didn't seem himself, and on top of that, Mikey Garcia was putting on a hell of a performance. As I said, Mikey Garcia, while he does have power, he's not like your average Mexican fighter who slugs it out with you. He's out there like a warrior, and that'll take punches and give them back. Mikey Garcia, while he does have power, he chooses to outbox his opponents. He has a lot of boxing ability, very technical fighter, and that's what you saw in this fight. He was waiting for Orlando Salido to make mistakes, and he was capitalizing on them. And as you saw, he knocked him down 4 times, was dominating him throughout the fight. Orlando Salido started to pick it up a bit in the 6th and 7th round, and in the 8th round, you saw that there was an accidental headbutt, which ended up breaking Mikey Garcia's nose, and that's what stopped the fight. The reason I said it was somewhat disappointing, well, not somewhat, it was disappointing, was because Mikey Garcia was dominating this fight. This was his first fight at a championship, his first big step up, and you just wanted to see him win by decision or win by knockout, not like that. You know, a lot of fighters fight through broken jaws and, you know, broken hands, broken noses. And in my opinion, I felt like he could have continued. Even though he was winning the fight, I mean, he was dominating the fight. He probably should have continued, because a lot of people are going to say that he took the easy way out. And it would be hard to argue with that, because it did appear that he could keep fighting on. But nonetheless, as I said, he was dominating the fight. Much props to Mikey Garcia. He was my pick in my prediction video. If you haven't seen it, you know, take your bitch ass back and go watch that. And this, you know, huge victory for him. You know, he just beat the man at 126 pounds, has become a WBO featherweight champion, and you just see that he has a bright future ahead of him. In my opinion, I would like to see a rematch, just because of the way the fight ended. While Mikey Garcia was dominating, Orlando Salido started to pick it up a little bit in the 6th and 7th round, and in the 8th round, up until the stoppage. And they both haven't finished business with each other, so we'll see what happens in the future. Of course, there are many more options for both fighters. If Orlando Salido continues to fight the way he did, perhaps retirement should also be an option. You know, you don't want to permanently injure yourself. And we'll see what happens. And how did you see this fight going down? Did you believe that Mikey Garcia could continue fighting? What did you think of the undercard, especially the Rocky Martinez versus Juan Carlos Burgos fight? You know, let me know your opinion. And if you like this shit, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is your homeboy Getsakwala, signing the fuck on now.